Good morning. Welcome to the Paul Green Comedy Podcast. It is June 9th, 2024. This would be episode 193, I think. So I am coming to you from San Diego, California, in the couch bed of my good friend, the very funny comic, Mr. Andrew Nurelli, who I've talked quite a bit about on my podcast, as he has proven quite significant to my comedy journey and has become somewhat of a mentor of mine. And a couple of months ago, this is your first time joining me, I was with Andrew in Las Vegas and had a bit of an epiphany that I needed to rewrite my entire comedy act. And it just so happened that Andrew was with me, and I asked him if he could help me really figure out how to rework my entire act. And he graciously and excitedly agreed. And based off of that decision and that conversation, I pretty much started over and have abandoned the last 10 years of material that I had been doing more or less since I started doing stand-up comedy, and I started writing a whole new act from scratch. And it has been quite the journey these last couple of months, as I really have focused on upping my game when it comes to my written material. And overall, it's going pretty well. I feel so much better about the material that I'm doing, a lot more connected to it. I feel it's a lot more honest, a lot more authentic, and I'm able to find the comedy through my honest opinions and my authenticity, as opposed to relying on more jokes or misdirect. Or, I don't know, I had a tendency to play kind of dumb in my comedy act. Anyway, so I am in town this weekend because I have a gig in Long Beach later today at the USS Iowa Battleship, and I am doing this gig as a charity event for a charity known as You Matter Not Alone, which is a mental health support group. The founder of it is a therapist and also a military veteran herself. And she and I met about 5 years ago. We actually met on a dating app, ironically enough. And we went on a date. And it quickly became apparent that she was not interested in me romantically, but she was interested in my ability to put on comedy shows as a fundraiser for her organization. It's been great. And even when I moved back to Arizona, we stayed in touch, and I actually reached out to her and just said, hey, we should do another comedy show fundraiser. We had done one back in 2019, and then we did another one in 2020, which the first one we were going to do in person, and it got canceled. As you may recall, 2020 was a tough year for the world. So then we rescheduled it as a online comedy show, which went okay. And that was the last comedy show we produced. So we only ended up doing 2, and then a whole bunch of other stuff happened, and I moved back home to Arizona, and a lot of life happened. And so our original intention was to produce a lot more comedy shows, but again, a bunch of life happened between that and now. And so I had reached out to her 5-6 months ago and said, hey, we should try to do this comedy show thing again. And started having those conversations. And here we are producing another comedy fundraiser show, and this time on a battleship, which is really cool. And it just so happened that I was here in San Diego, and I looked up, or actually my friend said that they knew the comic who was going to be performing at a very successful comedy club in San Diego known as Micdrop. And interestingly enough, I actually performed at Micdrop myself about a month ago with a very funny comic named Mary Upchurch, who had booked me on her show. So, come to find out, a comedian friend of mine who I met back in maybe 2019 named Jiaoying Summers, who is a Chinese immigrant and made her way to Los Angeles and started doing stand-up comedy, was headlining. Now, Jiaoying is a very interesting story. So again, she and I became friends maybe late 2019. We were both sort of new on the stand-up comedy scene in LA, still doing open mics, still doing sort of indie, small-time shows. And then Jiaoying has blown up like you wouldn't believe. She blew up first on social media and had a couple videos of her stand-up just go insanely viral. She is absolutely relentless in her work ethic and in her hustle and her grind and honing her craft, and was very prolific on social media, posted so much content, and started growing a following on the social media side of things. And just within the last year or so, got to a point to where she could tour. And so she started touring the country, and not that long ago, it was probably early 2023, so about a year ago, she came to Chandler, Arizona, to a club called Micdrop Mania, which is actually owned by the same people as Micdrop in San Diego. And when I heard she was performing there, again, this is a friend of mine whose career I've been, keeping track of over the years, as she has just gotten more and more successful and more opportunities keep coming her way. And I actually went to go see her in Chandler, and I had an opportunity to open for her when she found out I was there, because I texted her, of course, and said, hey, I'm at your show. And she said, oh, come say hi to me in the green room. And then she actually asked if I wanted to do some time, which I, of course, heartily agreed. And so I got to do 4 minutes as a cold open at Micdrop Mania for her, which was very gracious of her, because she didn't need to give me stage time, but she did, and I appreciated it. So back then, so again, we're talking about a year ago, she probably had that room about 70% full, and Micdrop Mania is fairly small. I'm going to guess it maybe seats 100 if it's busting at the seams. And that might even be a little high. It may be closer to 80, 90 seats. I don't know exactly. I mean, it's a smaller club. It's a great club. It's very new. It's only been in Chandler for maybe a year and a half. I don't want to get in all the history, but it was a merger between the Micdrop Comedy Club in San Diego and then a local improv comedy club in Chandler known as Improv Mania. And I'm actually know the owner of Improv Mania very well because I used to do improv with him back at Jester's, where I got started as an improviser. The owner of that club is named Dave Speck, and his wife, Colleen Speck, were both improvisers. They got married. Then they started their own improv club in Chandler, and then did a merger with the Micdrop people, and that's how we got Micdrop Mania, which again is a merger of the Micdrop in San Diego and Improv Mania in Chandler. Anyway, that's some boring history for you. But when Jiaoying came to Improv Mania, she probably sold 70%, 60% maybe. The room, I mean, there were people there, but it wasn't like busting at the seams. She did a fantastic job. Her comedy is so funny and only getting funnier. Well, fast forward a year, she sold out 4 shows at Micdrop in San Diego, which is significantly larger. I'm going to guess maybe, at least 200 plus, maybe 250 seats at the Micdrop in San Diego. And my gosh, she has just built a massive audience over the last year. She already had an audience. The fact that she's a draw at all, it is so hard to be a draw at all. It's so hard to sell tickets to a show. And so she was already doing it at sort of the smaller club, and now she's doing it at very large clubs, selling out the main room in large clubs, 4 shows in a weekend. And she just did a fantastic job. She was so funny. And she responded to my text message still, which made me feel good that she hasn't gotten so big that she ignores me. So anyway, since I was here in San Diego, I texted her and said, hey, I see you at Micdrop. I would love to come see you. She got me on the guest list. And then actually, when I showed up, the manager of the club, who I just met about a month ago when I was opening there for Mary Upchurch, pulled me out of the line and said, oh yeah, Jiaoying wants you to come say hi in the green room. So I felt very special and got to go in the green room and hang out with her and catch up for a little bit, and then went in the main room and caught the show. And it was really, really fun. The audience was so excited to be seeing her, and Jiaoying did fantastic, and it was just a super fun show. So exciting to see somebody who sort of started close to the same time that I did, at least as a stand-up in Los Angeles, to be able to garner so much success in such a quick time. And again, she was absolutely relentless, absolutely focused, so hardworking, grinding, hitting all the open mics, honing her craft, making connections, networking, and was real relentless on social media. And her social media was just done very well. All of her videos were, you can just tell she put a lot of time and energy into making sure her social media was well published and well branded and all looked fantastic. And then she was starting to book all of these clubs, and so then she had really good footage of her at the Laugh Factory and at the Improv in Hollywood and all of these kind of iconic places, which really helped her, establish herself as an up-and-coming comic. And she blew up so fast that actually last year she headlined at the Apollo in New York. And my understanding was she was the first Chinese American ever to headline at the Apollo Theater in New York. So she is just crushing it, and it was really great to see her. And just a good reminder of, it's just good for me to see somebody make it like that. I don't know. I how am I wording this? Because I have these big dreams. I would love to have the type of draw that she has, and to have those types of experiences, and to see somebody who I know, who we started, more or less at the same time, be able to get that. It just reminds me that, like, hey, you want to know what? This is possible. It does happen. It happens to people. And it's encouraging for me and exciting for me. I'm just so happy for her. And I just love it when people who I know, get these big opportunities and find success, because I just know how hard it can be to find success. I mean, in any genre, really, but specifically in the comedy world, which is the arena that I'm also playing in, and where I have my own hopes and dreams. So anyway, congratulations to Jiaoying. Had a great show. So great seeing her. And I am very much looking forward to the show later today at the USS Iowa in Long Beach, and being able to entertain our military veterans who are all out there to support military veterans and mental health and all of that fun stuff. So for now, I am going to sign off for today's episode, and I hope all of you are out there doing well, finding success, cheering on the people who you love, who also have big dreams, and you're able to get some inspiration when anybody gets a big opportunity, and hopefully maybe some of those opportunities will come your way as well. So I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. This is June 9th, 2024, episode 183 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I will check in with you tomorrow.